There we go. Okay. Well, good morning. I think Karen's trying to get everybody in. So we're gonna let that happen. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We're gonna let everybody kind of drop in. I do have a screen to share, but Happy New Year. Happy New Year. It's
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So Mike, what did you do to bring in your new year?
Can you see me?
I can see you.
I can't see you.
Oh, where?
Oh, there.
And what did you do to bring in your new year?
Oh, there were like 6 friends that came over. So we, that Christmas Eve day, we cleaned the house, which was, we've never done that much cleaning. But no, it was fun. We had like a little party. So.
Super fun. Jamie, what did you do? Did you get to celebrate on your own, or did you make a celebration for somebody else?
I actually got to like fully celebrate on my own.
Oh, good.
I was supposed to be in Belize with a client, and his girlfriend got sick and whatnot. So he decided to say no, and I still was gonna go, but then I decided not to. And I went to dinner at a tapas bar, me and Shireen and a new somebody. And yeah, ooh. And we went to this, and the food was so good. And then we got home at about 11:30, and my kids are all in town. So we toasted and New Year's, and then they went out, and then we stayed up and sang songs and drank and stuff. And I found out that my son likes cognac because his freshman year even though we've got a 3.99 GPA, he sure has learned how to throw back a few drinks in college.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, I think he got about the 3rd shot in, and I looked like, when did this happen?
Right. What is this about? What is this about?
What happened? But yeah, so it was great, which I probably in 20 years haven't not worked for New Year's Eve.
Right. Yeah. So you get to actually celebrate. Isn't that fun? What a great way to bring in the new year.
I know.
What a great way.
I know. I'm very excited. And then that day on the 1st, I officially sent my resignation letter to the NBA. So March 4th, I will be done.
You will be done?
Me physically. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's pretty nice, right? To be able to go, these were the goals that you had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. These were the goals that you had, and here they're working.
Would you like an ice cube in this? It's not very cold.
No, that's fine.
And all right.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. What did you do for New Year's Eve?
Well,
COVID stuff going on.
Yes, but we always have, for the last 15 years, we have the naked run. So we, my husband will run Lake Harriet around to the South Beach, and then strip off all of his clothes and run the last end of it nude. And he'll invite people to do this, to say, look, strip off everything that you are comfortable in the last year and bring it forward. And then I'm the getaway car. And what's interesting is he's old enough now where I have to think about, if he were caught, I would just say he's escaped with Alzheimer's, So we had some people that were set to run, but when I got to where he's supposed to finish, there was a squad car waiting, and I went, oh my goodness, like, what is happening here? And it turns out they were waiting to bust the house on the lake that was having this huge party. But so he comes running to the car, and he's fully clothed because he saw the cops too. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And he goes, well, I'm going to go to a part of the lake that they're not. So I'm still going to finish my naked run. But there, and one of the people that was running with us is a district attorney for a bigger city. And she's like, wow, I I don't know what I'm gonna do if you all get caught. So,
think-
you know,
Well,
that-
although I think you should do it in a warmer climate, but
you know,
really
this was the warmest it had been. It was 30 some degrees out. So yeah, so we come into the new year just ready, right? That's his tradition. So and it's been very interesting as we have aged, how much, you know, midnight just feels old.
Oh, no.
You know, that midnight just goes, oh gosh, wow, we gotta go to bed. But then you come back from that race and you're like amped up, ready to go. But when the police were waiting for it, we're just parked. They went past my car and just parked right there. Thought, something's up. So very fun. Janet Mills, how did you bring in your new year?
Oh, well, actually, I love that story. I'm just relishing it.
Yes.
I used to go, we shared a duplex with some people who had a theater here in Minneapolis.
Uh-huh.
And there was someone who did that. And one time he'd run around the block. He started it in high school with his brother. So
Yeah.
he'd done it for decades. And his brother lived in a different state, but they would set their time. And he
Right.
started stripping next to me. And I was like, what? Whoa.
Right.
But and the other tradition is the Boy Scouts would get together and the yucky guy in the middle of the block would have a party, and I never liked it. And then this year, the nice guy at the other end of the block said, hey, why don't you come over with another couple? And so we just sat around from 10 to 2 having a great time. I never talked to the other guy. I was like, you were in my 3rd grade class. I've never talked to you. But it was how I would like life to be. Just comfortable, mellow, challenging, interesting. So, but nothing explosive.
Nothing explosive. Karen Carson, how did you bring in your new year? Oh, you got to unmute.
Very quiet.
Very quiet.
Yeah, I was up till midnight because I always like to watch the New Year in with the old Dick Clark show, which is not nearly as good as it was, but it's a tradition. I watched Dick Clark the whole time he was on, and actually read a little bit in one of my exciting books, but mostly, it's been a very quiet time.
Quiet time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Janine, how did you bring in the new year? Oh, you got to unmute.
Someday I'll learn the Zoom thing. I photographed a wedding on New Year's. Yeah,
Oh, you did.
at the Celeste Hotel in St. Paul. It was a boutique hotel that was a convent for like 60 years.
Yeah.
And they kept the integrity of a lot of the building. It was really cool. They have the chapel. They cut in half where the altar is, and there's a giant wall there, right? So then you just have this cute little venue with these tall lights, and then you have on the other side of the wall is the grand suite with the bed under the altar, like organ area. It's pretty epic.
Oh wow. So what a great photography. So you got to be super creative.
Yeah, with a really great couple. Yeah.
Oh, that is so great.
I'm here with my son. We have a snow day today.
Oh, yes, we are having a snow day here in Minnesota. It is so great. Well, we'll see if he comes on.
Okay, I'll come look.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get into class because we have a lot of big things today. We got a lot of screenshots. We have a lot of people that are going to watch this on replay. So, we'll start the recording and kind of get in to what is here. The chat box is going to be your best friend today. Because there's lots of ideas here on, ways to build prosperity in your business model. Again, this is always an open conversation. So if you put a question in the chat box, somebody will yell at me, or you can just yell it out. if you have a question on what we're doing. But I would definitely get a notebook today because I have a lot of jam-packed pieces. And when we talk about values, there's a couple of different versions of how we talk about it. So I'm going to take some real complex items and try to make them just functionally working. So one of the things that I'll give you is we have a soundtrack of samba. So you're gonna get that feeling today. So I really want you to feel that samba vibe in what we talk about today, because when you have many complex things that you're trying to work out in one concept, it really is a dance. It really is just how you work with it. So prosperity, right, is the ability to magnify. And I'll make this kind of nice and big so it's neat and clean. We all know that, you know, Mickey loves pictures in our slides. So what does prosperity look like in your business? And we're going to talk about values, but we're really going to focus in on that prosperity business model. So PBM, that is what I'm the most known for, is the writing and the execution of that business model. That business model has 3 sections in it that we always focus in on. So this is one that you can take a screenshot on. You're going to see this slide a couple of times, but it's efficiency, it's economy, and it's environment. And so yesterday I was working with a tech company and we were talking about what's the environment that we're creating. And I reminded them that they kept going to culture, the conversation around culture. And I said, look, a culture is built off of the environment, right? So if you have ever known somebody, right, samba is a conversation we're having in the background, right? If you've ever known somebody in a warm climate, it's easy to dance. If you've ever known somebody in a cold climate, like where I live, it is, you know, ooh, it's chilly, right? We just hold ourselves close. It's not always warm and inviting. So that there's a warmth that comes in the environment when you go to places that are warm. And so when we look at this conversation around the prosperity business model, I'll show you how you apply a business model to your business as well. These are the ribbons of Bonfim. For those of you who don't know me very well, I used to live in Brazil, and I used to live in Bahia, and that's where I wrote my thesis. But there's a church there, the Senhor de Bonfim, and there's all these ribbons, and these ribbons have this kind of goal that everybody has, is that somebody gives you a ribbon and you tie it around your wrist 3 times, your left wrist, and you make 3 wishes with it. And that is an accountability structure to those wishes. And you have to leave it on until it breaks off naturally. So it's a crummy little ribbon that gets really ratty looking after a year or so. And people all around that country and tourists wear these ribbons because that is, right, a way to make a wish, but it's prosperidade, right? Prosperidade is how you say prosperity in Portuguese, in Brazilian Portuguese. And it's a feminine noun, right? So one of the things that's important about is how do we represent prosperity in languages, especially love languages, things like that. It is that feminine noun, right? It is a thing. It is that life-giving piece of expansion. You hear me talk about prosperity a lot, of the ability to magnify. I can't think of anything more magnificent than that word, right? Prosperidade. So our goal today is to be accountable and to find ways for you to be accountable to the magnifications of your values in your business, right? The actions, the actual things that you're doing. And so we've got many complex things that are going to come together today. So think of samba, that dance, right? That it's the music, it's the way it's put together, it's the movement, and how do you learn to samba? If any of you have been to Carnival, it is, right, this beautiful, majestic, fantastic thing. And so is your business. So when we look at what is prosperity and what do I dedicate my life to? It's the first piece is right, the ability to trade. That when you look at how do we build the ability for something to prosper, it is to give you more ways to trade. And when we look at that ability to trade, sometimes that's diversifying your products, sometimes that's diversifying your language, but it is the goal of prosperity in a person, in a business, in a city, in a country, is that we build prosperity first by increasing the ability to trade. And if you have ever read a Google review, you know that everybody's watching, right? There's a review for everything. But today we're going to talk about two simultaneous versions of value. Is really, right, our personal values, and then how do we give and live in our values, and how do our customers receive in that value. So, and then I'm going to wrap that up in mission statement and wrap that up in prosperity business model. So this is one of those classes that you may end up watching again to see what you catch. This is another class where I want you to free write notes so that something will hit you about what I say, and you should just kind of write it down. I will give you a journal topic to kind of go through, but when we look at business values, you're going to see this slide a few times today. I put it in, I think, 3 times. And it's really a circle of behaviors. So this is what your customer is receiving. So it is the perception, it's the perceived benefit and the physical benefit that they receive from what you offer. So when you put in business value into the internet, they're usually going to do this in a circle. So I just did a circle of paint because they kind of smatter together. You kind of mush them together. What's the exchange value? What's the relative value? What's the predicted value? What's the experience value? And if you've ever ordered something like a favorite item off of a menu that you go to that restaurant just to eat that thing, you know what predicted value is, right? You just can't wait to eat it. So if it isn't good, you're crushed, right? It's so not good. If you've ever been to a restaurant and you just feel light and airy and you can just feel the vibe, that's an experience value. So we'll talk about those as business value. And in a prosperity business plan, this is where we see efficiency and economy. So when we build those parts of your business model, right? And a model is to say, here's the structure, right? Here's the house that I'm building it in. This is the structure. Is it a teepee? Is it a tent? Is it a house? Is it a building, right? A model is a structure. And in that structure is your business model. And so we are looking at, in business values, this is in that section, those rooms called efficiency and economy. The environment that many of you are building under is you, that you have a set of standards and ethics and the way that you live your life. And we really do create an environment around us. And one of the things that I was having as a conversation with a tech company, this is a major tech company out of Seattle, and we were having this conversation of culture. And I said, look, we start in culture in the environment, that it really is the environment that creates the culture, not the culture that creates the environment. It is, right, the parents that create that children's mindset early on, not the mindset of the children that create the parents. So although they do impact each other, that is for sure. But the value is really your standard. It is why you're doing it. And these change. So as we're going through today, right, your goal for the new year is really to kind of outline this extraordinary ability. And this extraordinary ability is that when you're tuned in, tapped in, and where you need to be, you know, your lights turned on and you know who you are and why you're doing it, it's easy to magnify. It is effortless, like a beautiful samba. But when you break down a samba, it's incredibly complex. And so this is a dance that watching somebody who can samba beautifully is intoxicating. It is nothing short of enchanting. But there's a lot of things that went into a beautiful samba. It's the music, it's the outfits, it's the energy, it's the environment, it's all of these things that make us want to watch a beautiful samba. And so same is true with your business, right? It's really saying, here's my mission, here's my core values, here's my business values, here's what I'm leading with, and here's what I've built for my customers to receive. So in this, if you are the screenshotter, if you're taking a picture, if you haven't heard Brazilian Portuguese, I really encourage you to listen to it because it's beautiful. One of the things I added in today's class is also some of my favorite Brazilian sayings that apply to business and to what we're talking about today. But there is a YouTube video where they kind of feature just kind of love sayings. So that's what that is if you want a little piece of bonus content today on the topic, because it's snowy here in Minnesota. So samba will really warm your heart today, especially if you're doing it while you're shoveling. Because I think there's 6 or 8 inches of snow out there. Somebody will put that in the comment section for us, I'm sure. So your business values are really those principles that guide all of the company's actions, that when you see them, right, a lot of times people go, well, what is that? Is that my mission statement? No, the values are a little bit different, but they guide that mission statement. So, but where I really like to kind of remind people is it's the cultural cornerstone of that. So those values are there to be that cornerstone. If you believe in inclusivity, then that's where it has to be. It has to be in the actions that it takes all of the time. When we look at that, right, it's the environment that we create. That's policies, that's procedures. Are you going to, I saw yesterday all of these things popping up on my feed of businesses that knew that they were going to, that they didn't want their employees trying to drive in the snow, that they were just going to close the doors today. That they went, look, it's going to be a snow day. We are not going to be open. And so they put that out yesterday so that, right, so that their values, their ethics of their staff not fighting through the snow to go to work was going to be managed. So we look at this as what is the environment that we create, and that's going to be around your policies, procedures. That's your language. That's what it is. You know, what's your return policy? You know, what's the way that you are going to conduct business? How do you do that? And in your personal set of values and ethics, you're also going to build them for your business. But when we look at business values, traditionally, you're going to be looking up this other set right here, right? Which is this circle of behaviors around what the customer receives. So this is where you invest in this other circle of behaviors that your customers receive. And that is around efficiency and economy. So is it of value to them? And that is not within your control, but we try to build within that model, right? So we try to build it inside of a house called prosperity. And we try to build that inside the house of prosperity so that people feel that they have received value. And you are going to build in that way to say, and me as the builder are going to create with great ethics and fun. What is the conversation that I have in real life with real businesses like you in my office is that many of you have been successful for years. And what ends up happening is your why changes. You may still have the same values, but the why of why those values are driving you are different. That why you did it in the beginning isn't why you're here, right? So the things that I would do early in my career was I read a lot of union manuals as a financial person that I would explain to people because I was good at reading comprehension. and that I could speak this other language of money, that I would be able to read all these union manuals and say, here's what your benefits are. And here's how they apply to you. And that was right. I did a lot of budgets, things like that, of people getting those very basic functions of their financial life put together. But now that I've been here for 24 years, that's very rarely what I end up doing, that I talk about what I do differently. I just do it on a much larger scale. Now I do it for the whole business. And so the why of what you're in, it may be a new direction. And even though the value base may be the same, you're probably going to fly in a different direction. Karen has the best description of belief. So I may have you just pop in to do your great explanation of belief. I'll give you a forewarning in case you want to. But it is this kind of acceptance of truth, right? That we have a lot of beliefs that we just have as an acceptance of truth. I'm working on a secret little project that some of you may or may not know about, but it's around fashion. And so a belief may be to say, hey, blue jeans are the American icon of fashion. Whereas a value may be that fashion should be kind to the earth, right? Different piece. So Karen, do you want to chime in on the definition of belief? Because you use a very specific one.
Well, specifically, it's kind of like religion. People have a belief in religion. There's no way you're going to be able to talk them out of it. Even if it's not true, you can present all the evidence you want, but a belief is pretty much unshakable. And it is connected to your values in that you're not going to accept anything except that belief. It's different from a value, very much different.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to a value at all, or?
The value, well, your beliefs do fuel your values. There's no way to get around that. But you've talked to people you've talked to a Democrat, you've talked to a Republican, you've talked to a Protestant, a Catholic. Most of them are like, oh, well, that's fine, but you should be a Catholic too, or you should be this too, not let's get in the middle.
Right. So, beliefs are kind of a different badge to talk through. And we're not going to cover beliefs particularly. We're really going to focus on values and how you use those values. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And for those of you who took monetary identity, this is going to really come right back up into the work that you've done. If you took monetary identity, I'm hoping that you still have your values out where you can see them. I'm hoping that you really still review them. This is your call to action. If you took that class, is to go back in and review what your values are, because they're a little mucky to get into, to really define how you're going to put that into action. So again, right, I wrote up here just to keep reminding you, what is the model, right? What is the model? What's the house that we're building in? And that's a prosperity business model that we're going to focus all of our questions on just these 3 topics. And when people say to me, the number one conversation I get when we're teaching business class in general is, I don't really know what prosperity looks like as a business goal. I don't know how to write one like that. And so we're going to kind of push down into some real basic items about what a prosperity goal looks like. And we're going to push it into the second version of value, which is really, what are your customers receiving? And that's the easiest measurement to be able to kind of get. It's not just client satisfaction. Some people value prosperity is like how many 5-star goals we have, but it's really to say, how do we manage a prosperity goal, right? And the way that we do it in prosperity business models, we measure it in these 3 categories: economy, efficiency, environment, right? Is the environment of your business growing? Is it magnifying based on your values? Is it living on task? Is it really doing what you say it's going to do? Is it efficient? Is there ways that we can put efficiency in here? And economy, right? Is it really working, not just for you, but for the other things that surround you. Many of you are working in community, you're working with other partners. So it's really making sure that your partnerships are working as well. Some of you have people that are selling your services on your behalf, or that they're referring. Are these the right referring partners? What does that look like? So when you think about prosperity, again, it is the ability to magnify. It is that ability to say, this is growing exactly as I want. And when you look at the people that you're in relationship with in your business, are these the people that you like magnifying with? Do you want more of that person? Do you like your landlord? Do you like, your banker? Do you like the other people that you are in class with? Do you respect what they do? So we have prosperity is that, but then we have this kind of dark turn where prosperity really becomes this dark place for people who get lost. They can get lost on their way. And so the lack of prosperity is the inability to magnify that what you used to do worked, but now you've changed or you've grown or the market has changed, right? We also have the opposite side of this, which is the lack of prosperity. Sometimes this is just that clever little rut that you've built by avoiding things, right? We have these clever little ruts that we all build around money, around relationships, around hiding from work. As someone who's self-employed, I get to hide from lots of things. Right? I can ignore lots of things. And as a self-employed person, there's isn't always, if you're the owner, you have to focus in on being accountable to yourself. And that's a little more effort because you'll cheat. I'll cheat, right? Do I really want to spend 6 hours doing this one thing, right? I'll manage to find anything to do, right? Suddenly I've got to go rearrange the cabinet. And so when we look at business values, right, these are these ingrained principles that guide all of the company's actions, right? It's that cultural cornerstone. And sometimes that word is a starting point for many people, especially if you have a voice that you want heard, is what is the cultural cornerstone of our business? Is it creativity? Is it inclusion? Is it just yummy? Right? We have an ice cream company, Ashley's company, who also set out the note yesterday that said, hey, we're not going to be in, it's going to be a snow day. But right, the cultural cornerstone, her point is, right, just yummy. We need yummy people, and ice cream makes people happy. It's fun to be happy. So that may be a very simple cultural cornerstone. It may be a complex one. And when we look at mission and samba or dancing in general, this is a different kind of dance here, but when we look at that business, that the business is there to serve, your mission statement is there to serve the business, not just you. It's there to serve the business in the highest good, and in the highest good in all situations. And this is where the complexity is what is in the highest good of all people all of the time. So in the highest good for a realtor is, right, that someone finds a property that they can be their best self in. That's a great mission, right? To allow someone to purchase something that will invite them to be their best self. If you've ever lived in a house that's too small, it's hard to be your best self when you're crunched. If you've ever lived in a house that's too big, you get lost in it and you get overwhelmed, right? You don't want to clean all those rooms that you don't even go into. So, right, what is in the highest good? And that's that mission statement. It's a guiding point. We'll talk about that. The first piece in building what is a mission statement, how you're going to utilize prosperity in your business model, is to be able to look forward and see a bigger future. And so I really remind people to just go, it's super easy, is to go, what is the future I want to see in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? if you're able to see a bigger future in 10 years. And some people struggle here because they don't actually see a bigger future. They see a smaller one, right? That they want to small their business down. So if it's that way, but they don't want to small it down too fast because they don't want to run out of money, right? So it's really say, look, here's the big future I can see. So when people are kind of closer to retirement and they know they want to pull out, I just go, look, build to the future, to the piece of growth that you can see. So if you can't see growth past 3 years, only build to the 3-year. But you want to be able to see a big future. And again, right, the model, the business model, what's the house that we're building it under, is that prosperity business model. We're looking at our bigger future in efficiency, economy, and the environment of your business. So it's being able to see that big future. This big red dot in the middle, this is a big red dot. Every single arrow in your life should lead to this dot. And that dot is your magnification point. So when we look at, it is both your magnification point and your magnetic point. So when we are starting, right, where are we going to start to build from? The reason that you want your values is to know who you are, right? To be inside, this is my light, this is why I'm here, this is what I am here to create, this is the bounty that I am. And so we will magnify from that point, and we will bring in that incantation of language, that says, let me write a sentence that really says all of it, that I can look at that one sentence and remember all my values. So it's sometimes I think of it as an incantation. If you've ever had a motto that you've said to yourself, I am strong, right? I am this, right? That if you've ever had a motto, that's really sort of a mission statement, but it's a placeholder that has a hard expectation. If you were going to take anything out of this slide, if you're going to screenshot this slide, of course, it's available for you online. Karen will have it up in just a little bit. But if you're going to remember anything out of this, it is a placeholder with a hard expectation. This is what we value. This is what we measure. Are we doing our job right? And then we'll use all of these values that we create to do that. One of the things that has come up, I've written a lot of mission statements. I've co-created with a lot of different businesses over the years on a mission statement. And two of these were values that we put into what we wanted. And one of them were, to make sure that we could create a livable wage for every person that employed at that firm. And when we started that 5 years ago, the entry level employee was at 15 and under an hour. And we managed in that time to move the business model, to move the efficiency and the economy and do all this other work so that our entry level position was now at $25 an hour. So to increase those wages by 40% in 5 years is nothing short of stunning. So what that means is that a full-time employee before versus now, they make $10,000 to $15,000 more a year. And that's significant. So when you are looking at why is this a big deal, it's also a big deal in how you pay yourself, right? That you value yourself perhaps differently. You may put in values around marketing. You may put in values around showcasing. There are lots of things that you can put in, but a mission is a placeholder with an expectation. I have this little project that I used theirs as a mission statement, right? The fashion is an inclusionary revolution, right? That everyone likes to have their own fashion. We all like to have our style, and it's a revolution. We are here to talk about a revolution, and that makes it fun. That makes it exciting. That gives them a mission that now they can apply their values to, or the other way around, right? We'll build our values and then write the mission statement around that. But it is that part where you go, it is the highest good in all situations. I think that's where the measurement becomes beautiful, is when you look at your mission statement, you can see, is it just fluff Or is this something that you are willing to consistently and persistently apply? And if you haven't written a mission statement in the past, because you go, I'm a one-stop shop, or I'm only this, I'm going to really encourage you to rethink it, because it is really a big deal. So your assignment number 1 today is this page that we've already shown you a couple times. It is to understand this circle of behaviors. And it is to say, not just focusing on what is you and your business, but what are our customers receiving? What are we giving out into community? What do we exchange as value, and why, right? So I'll use Janine as an example, right? You opened your studio to all of these things in the last year, right? That was for the community itself to receive. What was the purpose of that for you?
Well, community is one of my main, what was it, values?
Yep.
Yeah, so that was missing in COVID times. So bringing that back together and making studio a place of connection.
But that felt very different in your business 5 years ago.
What do you mean?
Well, I think so. The question is, from 5 years ago, the value of community, has it expanded in 5 years? How you express community?
Yeah, it definitely is a broader community, instead of just focused around like maybe creatives and photography. It's more like neighborhood and social.
Right. And that's the normal place of growth. And that's why when we look at going back to the drawing board on these concepts, you have to reapply them, that you see them differently than you may have 5 years ago. Thanks for sharing that. So your assignment 1 is really to look at what are your customers receiving. And we have these 4 items. And when we look at that, it is to, 1, identify your stakeholders. But again, when we look at samba, right, we look at that beautiful dance of samba. How do you teach somebody? How do we teach ourselves to go, wow, this is really complex? Running a business that is running in my values, that we express values to other people, that we're building it in this prosperity business model. This is a really complex dance. And we start with, the first place we start is in the highest good. And the way that we teach this in samba is that you close your eyes and listen. You just listen to the music. You just close your eyes and you listen. And that is where review is really helpful in your business model, is to just listen to what has your business talk to you. What's the whispers that you have around what people are saying or feeling or something? This is a complex piece. So we're going to start to define the highest good as it pertains to all of the stakeholders. And all of those stakeholders can be community, can be your partnerships, can be your customers, but it's really to take the time and sketch out what is in the highest good of all of the stakeholders that are attached to your business. And those are people who have a benefit that they receive from you being in business. That may be that it's the business next door because your foot traffic gives them business. It may be that there's a coffee shop down the way where your customers can wait if they're way too early with their service, right? It can be that there's many other artists around you that make it really exciting, right? What's in the highest good as it pertains to everyone. And in samba, that's listening to the music. That's listening to the music and letting it move your body. That's listening to the music to hear the beat. That's listening to the music to hear the sounds that are there, right? Prosperidade. That's the right, that beautiful language of your business. Where's the real starting point for everybody, right? The business of business, that's what I do, is that the first place I start is just redraw the customer experience, right? Is start to map out what is that customer receiving and what are they receiving along all of the points. And I start that actually very far out into community, right? At the widest part of the funnel of sales is, right, where do they find you? Where is the virtual home of you? Where are they? What are they reading about you online? What does that customer service map look like? And I would map out from the moment they hear or see your brand all the way down to when they are walking out or living with whatever it is that you give them. So it's redrawing that customer experience map, but really looking at the experience goals in that business model, right? Looking at it through the lens of efficiency, economy, and environment. And environment, again, really starts with language. So, right, how do we talk about our policies? How do we talk about our business? How do we instruct someone as they're going through our products? When we look at this from a store experience, what are they having? What's the environment that you're creating for them? What are your experience goals? And a lot of times this has a lot of adjectives, right? I want them to feel good about what they're creating or what they're buying, or that they perhaps got in that circle, that they felt that they got a good value for what they purchased. Especially if you have a high ticket goal, this experience goal is really a place for you to focus in on. We talk a lot about values proposition, and I kind of break it down as a way to kind of exhale and sit back in your chair a little bit and start to just look through your magnifying glass of prosperity, and without judgment, is to say, right, do I like what I'm doing? Is it good or bad in general? Is it good for me? Is it good for the world? Is it good in comparison? Do I offer a better product than someone else? Is it good in my values, right? Am I ethically available to continue making this values proposition in my business? And that's where you really kind of get to go, let me just sit in my chair and write or sketch or be with my own ideas and really pay attention to the nudges about what isn't working. Because what happens year after year is we can ignore a body of growth because it seems that it's incremental. We can kind of ignore or glass over it a year or two or three. But by the time we get to 5, most of you are expanding quite rapidly. And you have to go back in and really look at your values proposition about what you bring spiritually, physically, intellectually, emotionally, socially, into your business, right? The value proposition of what you are and what you are giving to your customers. And that may change by other people working for you. That your people that work for you also bring in their own value proposition. That sometimes the people that work for you make it even better. And sometimes they're kind of a drag. So, really looking at that. Your assignment number 2 is to really identify through your model, right? Efficiency, economy, environment, that business model of prosperity is, what are your customer expectation goals? And so when we look at, right, what is your customers receiving? And what are their expectations? Are there expectations that they love it forever? Is there expectation that they're going to renew and have something new each year? We have someone who's a diamond dealer. And one of the things about the diamond dealer is that they point blankly say, look, you're going to buy a diamond at whatever you are right now. We will keep your diamond price on file. So if you bought a $2,000 diamond today and you need to expand that, bring us back your $2,000 diamond and we will credit you $2,000 for it. We will give you every penny you paid us for that diamond, and you can buy a bigger one. And we'll use that as a down payment, right? So there is this expectation that your customer may grow. There's an expectation now that we're giving that customer is that they will grow and want a bigger diamond. That's just fine. So your customer may have the expectation that they're buying one ring forever. And that may be setting the goal differently for that client, is to say the diamond that you have today is everything that you can afford. But as your love, or as your relationships grow and as your wealth grows, you may expect yourself to be back. And we will do the work, right? We will ethics, we'll put our actions together, we'll build our business model to keep track of your sale. Right? So that's the efficiency, that's the environment, that's the economy, right? How do we make sure that there's another sale coming? So those customer expectation goals for, we have another company that's a website company, right? That they had to really focus on those expectation goals up front, because many people think that someone else is going to build your website for you. But we had to set up the content that you have to provide the content before you buy the product. Here's how to build that content and get it ready, and then we will come in after that point. So customer expectation goals. This one, number 3 out of that list, right? Out of that circle of business values of what is your receivership, is really predictable value. Predictable value is where you can really win big. And if you are a restaurant and you are serving food and you can deliver that same product all of the time, right? McDonald's has done this with their French fries. If you have ever had cold fries, you know you don't like it, right? You can send a cold fry back and they'll bet you up a new one, because everybody wants that McDonald's French fry, that loves McDonald's French fries. So they have a predictable value that they will always, always make you a fresh batch if they're cold. McDonald's does a lot of tricks to try to not have their fries get cold. And because they want that predictable value, they want somebody to bite into that product and have it be something that they would have been waiting for. And they also want them messy. What is interesting is they want you to find that fry in the bottom of the bag. They want that surprise element, which is why they haven't changed those little boxes to actually cover all the fries. That's why they overfill their fries, is because they want you digging through that bag for that next one. There's a predictable value here. If you've ever plugged into a certain product or a product line, there's a predictable value. And the value is that I know it's going to be great. And that allows people, when we've talked about this as the speed of trust, this is where it comes into, is the speed of trust, right? That I don't know what you're going to build, but I know I'm going to love it, right? Or I know you're going to stand behind your work. Predictable value is that if you've ever bought an Apple product and you've had a problem with it, right? You know you can just go to the store and do that. This is why we buy luxury goods. This is why we bring our cars back to have them repaired at the dealership, especially in a luxury car, is that there's a predictable value. That's what I want to receive. That has an efficiency to it as well. So, right, the how-to, this is the big question of today, right? Is that you have to walk out of today, of our time together, and go, oh, okay, how am I gonna set some prosperity goals, right? That I've given you all this dancing bits of information, and how are you going to do that, right? And really, that's a what goal, right? What is the growth that you are going to count as valuable? And that's the part where it gets tricky. And if I were going to give you what I think is a secret to making something a lifelong piece of delicious, is I would have focused on superfans. I think that's the fastest way to shortcut to, well, not shortcut, but take the shortest route to the greatest party, is to build your superfans and to focus in on those superfans who are always, right? That's the first ring that most people are going to find of why is it a superfan? When somebody says your name, what do they say? Oh my gosh, I love that person. Oh my gosh, they have this great thing. We have somebody that I know that makes this certain right, Donna McCurdy is in this group, and Donna's mom was known for pancakes, right? That she had made pancakes. She was a pastor's daughter, and her mother made pancakes all over. When her mom passed away, everyone talked about it, right? They were super fans of the pancakes. And so it doesn't always have to be this huge, crazy big thing. If you can think about the thing that you do well, and you do it well all the time, this is where your super fan is, right? I had a great experience. Maybe I had a great out product, right? That this is better that service than anyone else has. But I would think about what is the growth that you count, that you personally count as valuable. What I count as valuable for myself is, right, is really when I come up on somebody's screen and you go, it's Mickey's calling, is that, are you going to pick up my call or not? Right? That is somebody excited to see my name on their screen? Oh, Mickey's calling, right? Nobody goes, oh, dread, right? That you should be excited. So when you start to look at the values, who has somebody, you know, that a lot of times people go, oh, money's calling. A lot of times people will see my name on the screen and they'll go, oh, Mickey's got a business idea for me, right? A lot of times I'm calling you with something, right? I have an idea for you. I have a something for you. I have a something for you. It might not be for you, but maybe it is. And sometimes they're silly things, right? Do you want to go see the Wizard of Oz with me, right? But what is that?
Yes,
Right.
yes, I did.
Yes, yes.
Nikki, I gotta take it. This is being recorded, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go. I'm really bummed, but thank you for doing this.
You're
and-
doing everything right.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
Janine, before you go, what are you taking with you? Let me stop that share for a second. What is your takeaway today?
My takeaway thus far
Yeah.
is to circle back on those values and the super fans and what am my shiny objects, how do they correlate with those things? Like, let some shiny objects go by and pay attention to how I can have the shiny object meet with the values and the super fans.
Yes, yes. I think it's great. And you do a good job on super fans. So we will see you soon. Thanks for sharing your takeaways. We always love that.
All right, see you there
Okay.
with the replay.
Oh, did you get your page back? Is asked. Did you get your page back? Instagram.
No, it's gone. I don't have any access to it. I mean, the AI, they changed my profile photo to some random person, so the AI software doesn't recognize my face. I don't think I'm going to get it back.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So if you type in your new one, we'll all make sure to follow. So definitely put in your new one so that we can be part of the team that gets you back your magic. You had so many followers. I watched you post on it.
Well, I've paid somebody to manage my Instagram page for me for a long time, since the beginning of Instagram, basically.
Oh, wow.
So knowing the amount of content and work that we put into that is kind of heartbreaking. But
Oh, yes, you've put in thousands and thousands.
is that the hackers are messaging my followers and putting my followers at risk to being hacked. And that's the part that I'm just overly frustrated about, is that they are going to hack people that I have helped grow in business and know and have supported me, and now they're at risk for that. So it's
You always know we knew it wasn't you though. So
yeah.
we knew, yeah, we knew it wasn't you. You don't just like usually randomly message somebody in Instagram. I'm like, this isn't Janine. Hey, somebody's on your page.
Ugh, it's just frustrating.
And that's the social capital you built. So that is great news. I'm glad you brought that up.
So isn't that a testament of her brand that
Absolutely.
because she's moved in a certain type of way that because she's moved in a certain type of way, we could tell that this wasn't Janine contacting us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so Janine, that's, I don't know if that's a lot of solace for you.
I mean,
And-
yeah.
But that really is a benefit to you being you.
Yep, you're the gold standard.
Thank you. I can't tell you. Okay, so it happened like a month ago, and I can't, like, in batches, people have been messaging me, leaving me voicemails, like DMing me, texting me. Like last night, I knew the hackers were messaging people because I got no less than a dozen people calling, texting, messaging me, asking me if my account was hacked. So
Yes.
that's, so it's also the like, oh, these people see it, right? But then also the attention and energy that goes into responding to all those people about this.
Yes,
Like,
well, and
Is there any way you can back up your content on like Instagram?
if I could access my account, but I can't.
No, I mean, before that. Like right now, is that something that people could do?
Yes.
I know you can
set up
download your
two-factor
data on Facebook.
two-factor authenticator to help protect your account. And then you can also back up your content,
Mhm.
which would be probably something I should have done at some point, but I didn't.
oh no, you are kidding me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. But you have all those pictures, you have all of those things.
Yeah, some of the stuff was created in like some of the reels and stuff, and
Oh,
lives
right.
were created in the app, so I don't necessarily have all of that. And some of it I deleted on my like behind the scenes stuff. I deleted once it was posted because I was like, it's out there. If I need it, I can download it. But
Right. And so going back to assets, right? That's why they're assets.
Right.
So it's not just the money you paid in them, it's having them, and wow. Well, gosh, you'll see that differently in the next year,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So glad you learned it today.
Well, now I have a mission to like start over, and here we go.
And here we go.
And
here we
back
go.
up your data, even if it isn't Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, well, gosh, well, I'm so sorry that's happening for
Sorry
you.
to hear. Good luck.
And
Yeah.
we will keep loving on you.
Yes.
The Instagram we will follow. I'm already following. So we will keep going, but we'll see you back in the replay. So when you come back to watch it, just hashtag replay. Always love it. Always love it. Okay. Well, we'll
guys.
see you soon. I'm going to share my screen again for the rest of the group. Anybody words of advice for Janine on her way out?
Well, you would figure this out. Standard things that you can just click and send everybody. Like with a photo, yes, it got hacked so that you're not custom writing to everybody. You probably already thought of that.
I've copied and pasted, and
Yeah.
I think maybe just a photo would be easier even. Yeah, because then I can
Yeah, that's your currency.
Well, and that's I love that idea, Janet Mills, because a photo that really looks non-Janini, right, of you.
right. Like
Right, right. Why not send that out of like,
And a victorious one. We want a victorious one.
yeah,
They're conquering all odds of ickiness.
yeah. And backing up that data, I think that's something that all of us can take with us, right?
Yeah,
Is
we
how
all
to
need
back
that
us up.
reminder.
Okay, I'm gonna go back into share screen. Anybody else, any words of advice for Janine before I go?
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I got hacked too, but I didn't lose everything and I could still get back in. I just told everyone that I don't know, it's like they created another profile, but it wasn't, they didn't use mine. So was it different? They somehow used your actual
they got into my profile. Yeah.
yeah.
So if you ever receive a message from somebody saying, what's your number, or give me your number, or what's your phone number on Instagram message from somebody that you know, it's likely their account is hacked and they're trying to get your number so they can hack into your account. What happened was on a Friday night after some wine, I got a message from somebody's new page. It was their new page that said, hey, what's your number? And I was like, well, maybe they don't have it. I don't know what I was thinking. So I sent the number and then they're like, did you get a text message from me? And I was like, I got this. And then I sent over what they got. And then I sent them the login in a screenshot. And then seconds, I had some sort of login from a different country happening. And I tried to do it, but of course it was too late. I tried to stop
Too
it.
fast.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
no.
like never give your phone number out.
Well, it's a public profile too, like a business profile. Like my number is in my Instagram. Like if you wanted my number, it was right there. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because
but don't give your phone number out either. Yeah.
for Facebook, you're supposed to not put your number
Yeah.
in your Facebook page because that's another way to get in.
Mhm. Yeah, but as a business.
Right.
Yeah.
I
It's your
know,
business
but
model.
have them contact you some other way. I don't know. I was just told never to put your phone number on Facebook page thing.
Right. Well, what I usually recommend again is that the phone number for the business is a digital number that rings into your regular phone. So that's
There's a middle man.
Yeah. You can have kind of, that's why Google made Google numbers, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then it'll
okay.
bring right to your phone.
Mhm.
So,
All right. I have to go.
all
Yeah.
right, have a great
Okay.
time. Happy snow day. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye.
Good advice, everyone. That was very valuable. That was very valuable. So let's go back to super fans. Remember that a super fan is somebody who just thinks you're great. That they think you're great. And when you are looking at people that are talking about you, how many ways do they know you? But that's really, when we look at prosperity, it's really looking at looking at what's the growth that you count as valuable. And it may be that my offer on the table is just the fastest way to sort that, to think about what's valuable to you is super fans. That we all upgrade, that you are a very different person every 5 years. People really do tend to be much more, they grow, people grow. And so the way that you have as an upgrade is, we see it in how you show your values as you advance forward in the world. That as you get older, hopefully you get smarter, but you also have all this other knowledge. So even if you have the same value that you had, an example might be, I value family. How you did that with small children is very different than how you would do it with college age children, right? That we have to love our adult children differently than we did little kids. So you start to upgrade, right? What is that value as we advance in the world? And customer experience is very different before, right? So that might be, I want someone to buy a painting that I've already made. And now it is, let me bring more of the values here and do a commission. And how do I have that conversation so that somebody can have something that's really meaningful to them, not just something that's meaningful to me, or just my creation. Another way that, for those of you who have employees, is to really start to look at, right, what are the prosperity goals that you're writing, and how do you build them in that model, right? How do you kind of apply your values to them? Is really, do we employ or do we partner? That we had with the tech company yesterday, we had, I was on a CEO podcast, and we were talking about these partnerships. And in the tech world, we have a lot of movement towards employing people all over the globe. And in that tech company, we really talked about employment versus partnership. And many of us had employees that are really partnerships of people who are self-employed all over the world. If you've ever texted me, I mean, if you've ever sent an email to my assistant, you'll know that they're somewhere else. But that goal in prosperity is really, the first place you look at that is, are we employing people, right? So the firm that we were talking about employment of, we wanted to give a livable wage and raise their wage of everyone that worked there, that for prosperity was the first place we had to focus in. If we're going to employ people, we're going to employ them at a livable wage. Or are we partnering with people? And then how do we use that business model, that prosperity business model, to really partner with people in ways that are prosperous? And again, right, that prosperidade, that beautiful samba dance, right? Prosperidade, it's a feminine noun, right? And you have to figure out how you're going to be accountable to your own magnification if you are growing in certain ways. Many of you would like to magnify in ways of things that don't actually take more of your time. So that may be, right, how do I put my values in action? It may be hiring people to do things for you. It may be hiring other things out is one of the ways that you may choose to magnify. But you want your values in action. So your partners are a big deal. And so the working tip I have on your goal setting as you move into the front year is I would look at just these planning points so that you go, look, here's how I measure if I'm doing well. And in social media, that would be how many followers do you have? How many people are commenting? How many times are you actually executing on your on speaking around your mission? That there is really looking to go, how do we measure? And that I think is actually the trickiest piece of the work, is to be able to build those planning points. But at the year end, 1 year from now, what will happen is it's so much easier to look at it in retrospect. Is what you're doing working? Because a goal has a target, right? A goal has a target, and that's what those planning points are really targeted items to say, do we have this much in the till? Have we serviced this many people? Is to really say, did we actually deliver on what our ideals were? And sometimes that is, did we do things in the community that we wanted? Were we more efficient? Did our customers have to wait for things? What is that economy? Did we actually, did we sell things at a shorter rate? What happened? So we want them to kind of be able to have some measuring points. And your measuring points, again, exchange value, right? How does that, do I feel that I got my money's worth? Did some of you are exchanging in other values? Sometimes you're exchanging in emotional trades. Sometimes it is, that this is a priceless item. Some of it is relative value. Is this the same price as it is in an open marketplace? If you've ever shopped out something to go, no, I'm going to buy over here because it's $4 less, or no, I'm going to buy over here for $4 more because I want organic product or something like that. Predicted value for you is really looking at, right, what's that predicted value? What is it that somebody knows that they can get every single time they're interacting with you? That might be a smile, right? That when we go to Starbucks, it's that you're going to write my name on a company. You're going to write my name on a cup. I was at Starbucks the other day with somebody who had goes to that Starbucks so much that they made a drink into their database that's just his drink, because it's so weird. And that you can go in and have a Sawyer drink. So that's one of those pieces, right, where he lets his friends at work try it. He's in the mall, and he can. They're like, "Oh, just go down to Starbucks. They have it in their menu." Predicted value. So when you order a Starbucks a certain way with 2 sugars and 3 shots of raspberry cream, you get a Sawyer, and that part is, right, this place that we can say it's always going to be that good. The experience value for that customer may be, how do they leave feeling? And a lot of you have worked a lot on these circle of values, of the values that your customer receives from you. The value for you, your understanding your values as that personal tribute is different. It is how you're going to lead that conversation and how you lead it inside the model of a prosperity business model. Values, I really am going to remind people to review them every year, because the values themselves may not change, but how you present them will. So I would put them in a spot that you can see, and whether they're being your business values or being in your personal values, but your personal values, I would put where you can see them. And the business values, I would place where your customers can see them, so that be prepared to be measured by those values, or put your mission statement where someone can see it. that a mission statement is a big deal. If you haven't written one because you think, oh, I'm too small, or I don't really know what I'm going to do, I'm really going to encourage you to go back in and do that work. Now, in that kind of beautiful piece of Brazil, I'm going to give you some of these, how do I think you can move forward? And how to move forward, these are some very common phrases that you have in Brazilian Portuguese. I'm not going to say them in Portuguese, but I'm going to say them in English for you. But basically, here's what it is, right? Grain by grain, the hen fills her belly. That's a very kind of statement, right? Is that grain by grain, the hen will fill her belly. And that is that you just kind of consistently peck at something. And that is the best advice for a big idea, right? It's grain by grain, it's peck by peck. The other thing that I think is really helpful in prosperity in general is this idea of improvising with what you have. Those who do not have a dog hunt with a cat. Those who do not have a dog hunt with a cat. It is a very kind of simple thing of improvise with what you have. It's a very common piece of language. This is another piece that is also very common, is truth is like rain, it falls on everyone. Which is that who you are in the community in one version of yourself versus another, it's all going to be there. So you are better off to be your true self. Do the work, be uniquely you, and be the good parts of you, because your truth will fall like rain on everyone. If you are someone who thinks of, if you've ever thought of somebody who has a gigantic laugh, who you know that you just know that wherever they are, that people will remember that gigantic laugh, right? Or whatever it is. It's the truth is like rain, it falls on everyone. And this is actually probably my favorite one. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, which is, you don't have to be a genius to make the most of a situation, right? In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And you get to do with what you have, right? That where you are with what you have, you will be able to do well with that. So remember my kind of closing remarks around this, and then we'll get into the how-tos and what your takeaways are, is that red dot. Please remember the red dot, that your goals have a specific outcome, your mission has a specific point. That's your magnification point. That's your magnetic point. That's what you attract to you. So the reason that you want to understand how you magnify out, why you have that mission statement, is that everything comes from that red dot. And you'll attract everything to that red dot. If it's not for you, it won't stick. And that's the beautiful part. That's where people get really weird about, I don't want to grow too big. I don't know what's going to come. Everything's going to come. Everything's going to come. No, it won't. That everything may come, but it won't stick. So, right, build your planning point. If you're going to kind of remember to put the to-do in, right, is you want to look at how you're going to measure. What are your measuring points? And you know, you're going to be mixing that paint, right? You're going to be listening to that samba music. You're going to just kind of getting the vibe of it. But you have to actually do action, because just happy thoughts aren't going to make it. Right? Happy thoughts are not going to make it. You have to do the actions. You have to do the work. That's why we go. That's why we talk about target. That's actually why you're here, so that you have somebody kind of remind you to do the actual actions. And right, to understand this is a complex dance, that it is, right? We're doing something that's extraordinary. This is the art project of your life. That there is complexity in who you are. There's complexity in what you create. There's complexity in the relationships that you build, and the experiences that you're gifting to people, that they get to have something with you, and you being very well thought out will do you well. It will do you well. It will do you well. Just a last look at, this was the ad space of what we talked about. So this is what brought you here today, of what we will kind of look at with, like, did we review, right, core beliefs, right? What are the beliefs versus the values, how they will evolve with your personal growth, fast ways to magnify. The fastest way you can magnify is to focus in on those social assets. And right, the last piece we didn't do is magnify others who magnify. Hanging out with partnerships of people who are already doing this kind of work, that they want to see bigger, they want a bigger future, that they are committed to the action of growth. Really a big deal for you. If you wanted to kind of go, well, what is this, right? How do I grow fast? Know yourself, know the business that you're in there. And then 1 year from today, go back in and see, did you actually get to where you wanted to go? And finally, the fastest thing you can do, like what's my fast, is I would go back and look into your sales pipeline from last year. And, one is, it is my belief that everyone at every age can enjoy music and dance, right? Sometimes it's watching it, sometimes it's feeling it, right? That there is movement available in that samba of our life and our business and what we do. And if you're going back in with that samba mentality, is I would just gently, lovingly, thoughtfully go back to the sales that you made last year and really use the tools from today's class and measure them in the model of the business, right? Was it efficient? Was it a positive economy? What was the environment I sold that in? Go back in and measure it in the business model, and then measure it against your values, but also measure it in the values received, right? The circle of behaviors of business value that your customers received. Was that what they were expecting? Was it more? Right? Did they have a great experience? Was it hard to get that sale closed? Was it a long time? Start to measure back, right? And this is where you're starting to try on this dance of these very complex concepts that we have to weave together. And so the easiest way is to just go back and look at your sales and what contracts were there. Were you paid in bits? Were you paid over time? How's billing going? Were the parts of your business working? Did people get a reminder of their appointment? Very simple things. And that's a way for you to go back in and improve the integrity of what you're doing. And integrity makes it really fun. Another fast tip that I'm going to use is book smart, build street smart. This is a great time to look at some podcasts this year. I would put in, 5 podcasts next year to listen to. I would put in 5 YouTube videos. I would put in 5 books, something that allows you to grow. Coming to class, this counts, right? Because we give you a lot of book knowledge. Your time management practices. Now, when you go back in and look at those time management practices, it's not to set a new goal. I'm going to be better or smarter about my time. I'm in no way. What I am going back is going back in and looking at your calendar and say, how did you use your practices? Did you use them based on your mission? Did you use those to the best ability? Did you apply what you wanted as a goal? So the practices are really, I would give yourself a letter grade in, did I deliver on my values? Did I, what's my letter grade? How am I going to manage my time management practices? Did I avoid less this year? Was there improvement? And some ways, so when we look at that in a larger business that is a service business, that I just literally count up how many appointments they had. That if they had 100 appointments last year, did they have 110 this year? Did they have 10%? What is that letter grade of growth, right? Did you actually execute? So time management is a practice. Did you actually utilize? The part that I always remind people about is that you are self-employed. This is really, all of these self-employed people, is that creativity is really time consuming. And self-discovery and expansion is time consuming. So there is this inspiration part of your samba of, what inspires you? What makes you in awe? You have to be in awe of something to be able to fill that well of creativity for you to do some of the things that are a little bit more tactile or defined. So you have to have that freedom in your movement to do that. So I would go back to the time and go, look, did I really do that? And the final review part, and this is where I would just screenshot this journal entry is to really ask yourself, the 5 ways that your values were showcased in your business. Sometimes that is that did you show up? Did you show up authentically? Did you show up with interest in your customers? Did you show up to be a problem solver? Did you show up to be creative and fun and play with your customers? Did you actually do that? So I would look at those values, and if you have your values from last year written, if you're writing new ones, to go look, here are the values and here's how they translate. Humor is my value, so you hear me laugh a lot, that life is funny, business is funny, this world is funny. How can I push that value forward? And sometimes it's not taking the numbers so seriously, that we can always do better in our math, Okay, I'm going to open this up. You have lots of assessment tools that you can make. I'm going to stop share. This is available for you. Lots of info. Jamie, I'm going to start with you. There is a lot of pieces in here for you. What is your takeaway? When did you learn anything new?
Yeah, I learned new stuff, and just to add into it kind of brings some things together. So like in planning for this next year for losing a big income, I had to think about where I had to button up a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And so like that's what I'm just working out, some of the kinks of buttoning up those things, and also pressing go on some things that are ready to make some money. So just getting those organized, figuring out who was going to do what work and where people really were. And you remember, you wrote me a note, you wrote on the sticky paper about like outgrowing certain pieces of my life.
Yeah.
And even in that business. So like just thinking of like, I never thought I'd work a job for 25 years, and I really have.
Yeah.
Even if it was for myself.
Right.
So that's a pretty big accomplishment in life. and so
in
like
your young life. Yeah.
Yeah, in my young life. And so like I can understand being the planning part of this and the thinking about like my values and this type of stuff. And even in that retiring, I'm still doing something that's a part of my core values and my core mission. And that's to be able to give things to people in my community. So I think of the 4 young chefs that have been with me that are going to get an opportunity of their lifetime to cook from some amazing people. I make a little residual money on it, and I still get to keep my brand of cooking out there within that community. So even the planning of that. So I took a lot of notes and screenshots, and that's what I've really been doing, is just kind of I haven't really taken on any extra jobs, any extra work. I just really have been planning for this year and wrapping up some of those things. So I took away a lot.
Yeah. Good. Mike, what's your takeaway today? There were a lot of pieces in here for you that you've worked.
Yeah.
You've got a great year to look back on.
Well, I have 4 commissions lined up, but it's like I have to give Zoom calls to these people to make sure that I schedule them so they have some idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm working on a piece now that may take a month, and keeping in contact with them. And that's like taking care of your super fans. It's like it's a really important, I think, in my business to create these super fans that appreciate you and stuff. And for 17 years, I didn't really get that. No one ever expressed those business ideas to me and stuff until just last couple of years. And so yeah, and when I look at each of these commissions, they all have a certain value to all of them that is a value that I've been building through the years.
Right. I mean, you have the last 2 years, you've really seen your approach to business go very differently.
Yeah. And like I just wrote my 4th newsletter, and like everyone from my subscription opened it and read it and stuff. And so, and they're, they're about the pieces of work. And so that like brings people more into what I'm doing and draws like, they can just go back and read something. And then they're not really long newsletters. It's like, because no one like sits there and reads like a huge letter and stuff. But it's usually like, adding something about a new piece or something. And so I got one commission just from someone who liked the new website, and looked at other commissions I did. And another one was a guy had a piece like 20 years ago that I sold in a gallery in Pittsburgh, and he wanted a piece because he used to live in the Twin Cities. And so there's all these connections that I never really thought about that create new business and stuff.
It's a big deal. I mean, I'm loving watching your business grow. So out of today, what was your big takeaway? What was the piece that you went, oh yeah, okay, I got to remember this?
Well, I never thought about predictable value when you brought up that idea and stuff, that people that follow my work or buy it or whatever, they're they're kind of expecting a certain quality or expecting a certain
That you delivered.
yeah. And the importance of actually doing that, of remembering that and doing it.
Yeah. And you have that, one, well, you've heard this from me a million times, right? Nobody paints reflection like you do. Right. So, that being able to always see that in your work is always fun, right? That's something predictable. I can't wait to see how you'll express some of these ideas.
Yeah. And also a broader understanding of mission and stuff, that it has these different components, efficiency and value and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I always thought of a mission as like a 1-sentence thing, and it can be, but it also includes these other aspects.
Right. It is a tour guide. It is a tour guide in your life. Yeah. Yeah. Janet Mills, what are you taking away today?
Oh my goodness. Well, having the participants in this really inspires me. I learn a lot from that. This first time, I think I'm really getting it, all the things that you teach. A lot of times I intellectually get it. It's sort of filed, but this time it really made sense. I can't wait to watch this again because it's so beautiful. The content is smart. And then you knocked it out of the park with beauty. So if we watch it again, we get to see your slides again. I turned off my camera because it reminds me of an actor from children's theater I knew most of my life. And she said she learned to drive really late. But since she's an actor, she wasn't really looking. She was just doing the motions in the behind the wheel because she was an actor. And then she realized, wait, I have to actually check for cars.
Right.
And so I turned off my camera because otherwise I'm like more self-conscious, like, oh, and this way I could just be like, just gawking self-consciously and soaking in the content.
Yeah.
So the thing that I'm taking away is doing things to the highest good and making that measurable, the red dot, figuring out what things are delivered well, what things are failure, and measuring that. And it's kind of a hope or excitement on the horizon with everything. Personally, I'm kind of starting over. I've done this for 27 years and I need to sort of redo everything.
Yeah, you're ready to evolve.
Nuts and bolts, like upgrading stuff, just everything. Like almost have to start over, which it will be good when it's done.
And as it goes, Karen Karsten, you've seen a lot of this material before. You've helped write some of it. What's your takeaway today?
I think the values part of it is always exciting because you might have the same values your whole life, but they're different because you're different and because the circumstances are different. And the part about the beliefs is also important because we have beliefs in our head that we absolutely don't know about until it comes out and in conflict with your values. They're in conflict with other people. And I like the idea of just sitting down and reviewing. It has not been a good year for me. And trying to get restarted on a lot of these things is going to be difficult, but I just have to do it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to take away from today is I always learn something when I have to write it. Right? We learn when we teach. We learn when we teach. But what I am watching is I'm watching all of you and how many ways that you're using the materials, that you're using your knowledge, and you're actually making it work, that you're making better decisions, that you're seeing the outcomes. You're seeing the outcomes of the work you're putting in. And so one of the things I love about watching all of your careers and the things that you're growing is that I get to watch that it actually is doing it, that we get to see it working. The other thing that I take away is, prosperity is complex, right? To prosper is a very simple item, right? Increase the ability to trade. And we have to trade on many different ways. But what we have learned in this age is that we trade a lot on social traction, right? That somebody saw your website, they saw this, they did this, right? That we are selling in all of these different ways. And we're selling because we have to be clear about what our message is. What is our divine conversation with ourselves? And how do we magnify that out into the world? And so to be able to increase the ability to trade is one thing, but to be prosperous, again, is very, very different because it must be a state of knowing. I must be able to magnify from a state of knowing. And that when we look at how that word has changed through the last millennia, we lost that. Many people think about prosperity as just I can make money. And nothing could be further from the truth, right? When you look at someone who is prosperous, they absolutely understand who they are, what they're doing, and why we're doing it that way. And that is always my goal is for you to understand your version of prosperous differently and to be able to grow it in the ways that kind of make your shoulders not scrunch up, right? Oh, right. But you can kind of exhale and go, oh, absolutely. This is a beautiful world I live in, and I want to create from this place. And when people do that, they become wildly passionate about what they're creating and who they're creating with. It gets really fun to deliver hard things. And when we're delivering hard things, because they are this beautiful expansion of who we are, it is a remarkable relationship to be proud of yourself and to do work that you love and that you're proud of. And any way that I can help you get there is always helpful. So I will give you, right, ciao, un beso, mwah, mwah, goodbye with a kiss. If you're going to have an assignment today, I would go listen to some samba, right? If for those of you who are in cold climates, samba, samba, samba. Karen, what's your last piece here?
My last piece here is congratulations on the red dot. because it's true that what you measure grows. So if you're
Yeah.
measuring bad things, they'll grow. If you're measuring good things, that'll grow. So the whole idea of measuring progresses. Also, this is personal, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you haven't read your son's posting on Facebook on his return to his values, all of
Yeah.
us have a lesson there. It's a beautiful post and just speaks to values in a big way.
Right. Of how do we find ourselves and really be who we are. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Again, finding yourself again.
Yeah, because sometimes we stray, but you can always come back. That's the part that anyone who's watching this that's not normally in our group, because we have a lot of strangers who are out there, you know, that watch our videos, that they get watched all the time, that there is somebody's watching one of these every time. So it's okay to turn your camera off sometimes. But that you can always reinvent, you can always strive for something better, and it will always be the right time to be clearer, to right. The hen fills her stomach a peck at a time, right? Grain by grain, the hen fills her stomach. And that is this kind of pecking at it a little bit. Okay, any last words of advice for me? Anybody have any words of advice for me in 2023?
You hit the ball out of the park today, Mickey.
I will take that, love. I will take
I like
that.
mean it. Just forget everything I ever said before. Like really mean it today.
Oh, good. Oh, thank you so much. So much.
Don't forget-
Amazing.
Words of
Don't-
advice for me?
Don't drive today.
No.
Don't drive
Yes.
today.
While
Jamie,
we were
any
here, my
words of
sister-in-law
advice for
got
me?
stuck on the corner.
Yeah.
And luckily they're building a house there. So the workers pushed her
Oh, that's great.
back to her house.
You seem to be liking to be a doggy mom.
Oh,
Oh,
yes, Nigel. I have a little puppy named Nigel. My husband has a puppy named Nigel, but I have one too. But
I like to,
What kind? A dog.
he is a standard poodle.
he
And
looks like a
is
stuffed animal. He's so cute. And I
apricot.
I
Yeah.
don't even, not a dog lover. I love the car sick picture.
Oh, he's so darn cute.
Yeah,
so
he's a good, he's so photogenic. My Ella does not like the camera being on her. And she
Right.
turns her head, and that's a good dog for you. You guys found the right dog.
well, and you were there when when this first came about. I was out in North Carolina when Mark found the dog. And anyway, yeah, the reason that there's great pictures is that I delete 7 out of 8. I made a phone file on my iPhone of the pictures of just Nigel, and it has 1,000 pictures in it already. But I think I've posted 25 or something. But
So how do you like your grown-up dog now with his haircut?
yes. Oh gosh. Mark brought him in for his first haircut. So I left this like scrappy little puppy that I begged to please don't cut that dog's hair before Christmas. Because I want that scruffy little pup. I love that. And I love Scruffy. And then he came back just finally smoothed out with a poodle haircut. I'm like, oh, you're so grown. I can't wait for it to come back and be messy,
He is cuddly.
cuddly. Mike, any words of advice for me?
What was that?
Any words of advice for me before we say goodbye?
Just thank you. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
I'll take it. All right. Blessings to everyone. Thank you so
Bye.
much for being here. I always
All right,
like it.
thank you.
Okay, see you. Have a great day.
Happy
too.
New Year.
Happy
Happy
New
New Year.
Year.